What is this? What is this?
Welcome once again to the Die or Pass Level Podcast, or DoPL for short, to those of you who are new here. The DoPLcast, the Doppelgang. We're here at the DoPL Arcade, just as usual. Take a look around. We've got a couple of new video games out of the picture, but trust me, we're constantly updating this place. We got a really special guest today that I can't wait to introduce you to. But first, Brandon, what's new? How's everything going?
I'm floating, baby. I'm floating like Peach in her parasol. You know?
There
parasol?
it is.
Parasol?
A parasol. Parasail.
Parasail. She's not parasailing.
She's floating.
She's parasailing
Actually,
on a parasol.
Peach floats with or without one anyways, right?
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so
if we're going by Mario 2 rules.
It's purely aesthetic. I think she just uses it as a fashion statement. Playing anything new, doing anything new?
My local video game store called me. I had something on reserve, and one of the games was a used copy of the Pokemon Snap reboot for Switch. So enjoying the hell of that game. Haven't gotten very far. I'm only an hour in. It seems like a worthy successor to one of my favorite games on the 64.
How much does that run you? I'm curious what like a used Switch game kind of costs these days.
$30.
No, that's not bad. I'm heading your way in, 2 weeks now?
Mm-hmm.
I have that game, and I could have lent it to you digitally for free, but it's nice to have a physical copy.
You and I have gone down this route before. I was supposed to get hard copies of Resident Evil.
Let's talk about Resident Evil 2 for a second, Doppelgang. So, me and Brandon had a blood oath that we would split the price for Resident Evil 2 Remake, physical copy, and he could go first. I don't care. I just want to play it eventually.
Yeah.
And that was the deal. Spit on our hands, shook our hands. The game releases at midnight, and this man couldn't wait. He just couldn't wait. And he got it digitally instead for full price. Left me high and dry.
It came out. I was in a perfect mood. For some reason, I had the entire couch to myself. The entire evening, I had a drink poured. The vibes were just too good. Just wait.
What? You know, when you frame it that way, I literally cannot blame you whatsoever. Sometimes the vibes are perfect. You got 2 kids at home who are asleep. A brand new game just dropped. And there's a fresh bottle of your favorite drinky poo. It's going to go down. So, fine. I'll take it, Brandon. Brandon, you froze up on my screen. I hope you eventually come back to life. James, is he frozen on your screen?
He is indeed.
I mean, he looks great. Let's wait to see if he comes back.
It's a good LinkedIn profile pic right there. On the other side, dude, you could create a sick vibe. Tastefully done, sick vibe.
We'll continue this conversation with this beautiful heavenly voice we've been speaking with. But Brandon, where is that voice coming from?
What? Huh?
Wait, who is it? Well, hey James, how you doing, man?
Hello, thank you for having me.
So everybody, this is our friend James. I met James, gosh, how long ago was it that you met Sadie?
Probably 10 years ago.
For a long time, it was just like the legend of James for me. Sadie's dating this guy, and he's tall, and he's funny. And we like James. Like, we really need James to work because he's awesome. Thankfully, it did work. Also, before I forget, a girl dad like me and you, Brandon.
That's right.
Really
all
awesome.
In it together. Yeah.
James, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do? And I spoke to you. You said you were excited to be on a podcast where you didn't have to talk too much about it.
Happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about. The problem I kind of run into when I talk about my job is when people's eyes kind of start to glaze over and you see them check out in real time.
He's bored. He's getting bored.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of thing. But no, I'm a type designer. I went to art school for graphic design. And then all that time, I really knew that I wanted to be focused on type design, which is just designing fonts. So I'm just only working in black and white, drawing individual glyphs, they're called, one glyph at a time, just working your way through a character set. I went to school for this in the Netherlands for 1 year. I have a master's degree from the Royal Academy of Art in The Hague, Netherlands. And it sounds very, very fancy, but it feels like a trade. to me more than anything. I feel more like a plumber or an electrician than I do an artist of any kind. I think as I get older, I'm more comfortable with saying like, yeah, it is artistic, or like I am an artist in that way. I've just always been the kid to sit in a room by myself and just work on something creative for hours and have no like there's no collaboration happening, there's no interruptions. Like that was just who I was as a little kid, and it's who I am still. That's kind of where I go to relax and unwind a lot of times too.
Sometimes I sit in the shower as a musical person. That's kind of my place where I get melodies that pop into my head while I'm kind of sitting there or doing the dishes, mundane things like that. Are you in the shower, or like
100%.
You know, a font will just come up?
You know, it sounds silly to say it like that, but yeah, I think that things just come up as like a little spark of curiosity. And usually it's kind of just wondering like, what would happen if I tried this thing, or if I tried to do my take on this genre. It's kind of coming from this place of, wouldn't that be interesting to see how that kind of plays out? I'm also a musical person, Ray. I started on bass when I was in 7th grade, and then was in bands here and there with my friends, and I like to sing, and I like to write songs just for fun. You know, I've never done anything remotely professional. I've never progressed beyond an 8th grade level, but I really enjoy it. And I've always struggled with melodies and stuff like that. But sometimes things do just kind of like jump into your head. It does normally happen when your mind is somewhere else, or you're zoned out in a kind of peaceful sort of way. It's never when I'm stressed out. When I'm losing my mind, nothing good creative is happening at all. Yeah, the classic thing of being in the shower and having some sort of creative idea. I think that happens to a lot of people. Yeah.
I'm not sure how it works, and probably two different worlds, and you can correct me or educate me if you know. Are video games do they create their own fonts, or do they also license fonts?
Video game companies license fonts all the time. The video game industry has, what do you call them? AAA games? Where the
right.
And then they have the smallest little indie developers too. So when people reach out to us, we have to figure out where on that spectrum they are so that they can get licensed appropriately, you know. But we've been in talks with some of the biggest gaming studios that just like ghost us. They like, or like we give them,
damn it.
Yeah, like we give them our prices and then they're just gone.
So you've been ghosted several times, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But have you successfully made it into a video game?
You know, nothing comes to mind video game wise, but I'm sure something will, probably someday pretty soon. And it's just totally in the hands of the designers that work at these companies. Typography is such a massive part of not all games, I guess, but I would say a lot of games. And sometimes it feels really cohesive and tied to the story, and sometimes it feels a little bit like an afterthought. And they can be a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool history there with how they got those really colorful, vibrant fonts into like those 8-bit games. They did such creative, weird techniques to save space, kind of get a lot of visual bang for your buck there. So really what I would love to do is a custom font for a video game. Like that would be a lot cooler, just because there's potential to do something really bespoke and interesting to whatever story's being told.
Game developers, you heard it here first.
Yeah. Available.
James at OHNO Type is available to make your font. So
and we are the sponsor of today's episode. Yeah.
That's right. This episode's sponsor is OHNO Type Co. For all your font needs, OHNO is the place to go.
That's pretty good, right?
Thank you. So we're moving into the moment you've been so excited about. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to make you talk more about fonts. I apologize in advance, but I want to talk just a little bit about you and your personal upbringing with video games. Do you have any vivid memories of your very first video game or arcade or experience in your life?
Yeah, I guess the backstory is my dad was a teacher. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And when I was born, my dad told me this recently. My dad said, "Oh yeah, when you were born, We were the brokest that we had ever been. I was the sixth son.
That tracks. I would be very broke at that point too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, why did you? I mean, I know I was an accident. I think many of my brothers probably were, but there was not a lot of extra cash when I was born. As I got older, I think my parents inherited some money and stuff like that, and so I never had any idea. But I did kind of know that we were always the system behind. So when Super Nintendo came out, we just got our NES, and that kind of trend continued on. So my favorite memories of video games are playing NES, playing like Excite Bike and California games, and of course all the standard things. Yeah, just kind of like waiting for my turn because I was the youngest, and my brother Cam would be playing, or he would have friends over, kind of like sitting down on the floor watching your older brothers play and like not getting the chance to play. I was kind of happy to do that, honestly. That was fine for me. As I got older and like James Bond for N64 was like the game, I had just gotten Excite Bike, so I never really felt comfortable. I never got into the first person shooter thing. When PlayStation 1 came out, we got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and that was like, I played that game so much, played it before school. That's another great video game memory. It's just like playing with my friend Daniel. He would come over before school and we would play for like 15 minutes, all the special moves and all the pro skaters. And we were interested in skateboarding, just normal skateboarding
and
at that time.
Soundtrack.
Yeah, flash forward to now. That's definitely a game I put on my new system here.
What do people say is the best one soundtrack? 1, 2, 3. What's the consensus? I actually don't know.
I think 1 would be the most talked about or kind of iconic, but I never really stayed in the franchise. I was just like, yeah, I'm good with Tony Hawk 1. I played 2 a little bit, but beyond that,
I didn't have PlayStation, so I didn't play 1 and 2. The game that I played a lot of was 3. When GameCube came out and they started doing all the PlayStation games that I could play, I did Tony Hawk 3, and that was when I played in college a lot. That was like beer-soaked controller, and I played it so much that I was like trying to tick off all your mission things in one go, right? Because you could like balance, go to the next one, try to do as many as you can in one go.
Get high score, get 6 score, pro score, get the tapes, spell skate, spell combo.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And some unique ones to each stage. So yeah, I mean, doing that in one go is a tall order, man, but
so
kudos to you.
You've been playing the remake of that, Ray?
They just released it about a month ago.
Yeah, the 3 and 4. I kind of want to get it for Switch. My wife has a Switch now.
I will say, is it the Switch or the Switch 2?
She has a Switch Classic, Switch 1.
So if you don't care about the performance, it's fine on Switch 1, but Switch 2's got like the optimized experience.
Right.
And most times it's not noticeable, but it's been a pretty big leap from 1 to 2.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm not telling you to shell $450 to play Tony Hawk.
Well, hey, it's my lifelong theme of being on one system behind. And I think it's okay by me. I'm pretty much all right with it, I think.
Well, there you go. Then get Tony Hawk. Yeah, 3 and 4 holds very true to the old ones. A few differences here and there, but mostly for the better.
And the music was super memorable, and that was just like a thing at that time. That was also every skate video was like so much about the music, and so much about the music that you liked was coming from those sorts of sources because you just didn't have access to other stuff or you had to work so hard for it.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of my personal taste in music was actually like very derivative of my playtime with Tony Hawk Pro Skater, a little bit of Crazy Taxi, Grand Theft Auto. A lot of games with these licensed tunes were really picking some bangers.
Yes.
My little brother, he was like he's skateboarder. I didn't know AFI at all. And then I was like, what is this song?
I'm curious. What song?
It was Girl's Not Great. I can't remember, honestly.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. It's hard for me to tell you which Tony Hawk had the best soundtrack just because I've played through a lot of them and it all kind of just starts blending in, and I don't know where one game ends and the other begins. What's that song? So here I am.
Yeah.
Doing
Goldfinger.
Yeah. I can. That's to me the Tony Hawk Pro Skater song.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't even like that song, but
I like the Memories. that come along with it.
Yes, yeah. They also had like some Primus on there and some
Yep.
other things. I feel like some Megadeth or something like that.
When I like visualize myself playing Tony Hawk, the song that pops up during the gameplay in my imagination is Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine. So that's definitely one that was on the soundtrack too. Kick Push by Lupe Fiasco. Was another big one. They started sneaking in some hip hop too, which is cool.
That was probably happening more so in skateboarding. Tony Hawk, I think, really was like choosing the music for the games, or had like a big hand in it. And he was otherwise not really known for his like aesthetic sensibilities. He was just kind of known as like the 14-year-old, just like vert shredder. But he was also the most famous skateboarder. And so here we are. Skateboarding and culture and stuff like that had such a big tie-in to hip-hop at that time. I think it still does to some extent. But yeah, mid-90s to early 2000s, like that was it.
Brandon, what was the AFI song?
I was wrong. The AFI song was actually The Boy Who Destroyed the World.
Remember when we were all so beautiful. Never again. Great song.
Good.
James, I'm also curious. I know that you built a home arcade. I want to know the inspiration, and I want you to walk us through a little bit of that process.
I'll tell you the whole story, Ray. We're getting ready for PJ's 3rd birthday party, and my wife is going nuts. She's organizing a tea party. So we're doing sandwiches and cookies and all this stuff. And I'm just saying, please don't buy anything. Please don't buy anything. And then she orders from Urban Outfitters a very cute tray for some sandwiches. And what shows up at our house was a miniaturized single arcade machine for retro games. And I was like, Sadie, this like weird toy arcade thing came in the mail. She's like, that's so weird. I ordered a tray from them. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll send it back. And she's like, well, what games are on it? And I was like, it's just like Pac-Man and like Dig Dug and Galaga. And she's like, there's Galaga on it. And I was like, yeah, but I don't even know what Galaga is. And she's like, well, if there's Galaga on it, don't throw it away. Like, I'm planning for the party right now, but we'll come back to it. I'm like, all right. So at the end of the party the next day, all the family's still over and stuff, and we're all hanging out. And she starts playing Galaga, which I then learn all about. I'd never played it because I never hung out in any arcades, and I never had the game. It technically like was available on NES, but I don't think we ever had it. So anyways, as soon as she busts it out, all her sisters are just glued to this machine, and they're just destroying. It unlocks a really weird side of my wife that I had not seen come out before. She's like an amazing Galaga player. Yeah, I learned this is like a 1981 game. It was a huge hit. There's kind of like a precursor called Galaxian, and then Galaga is kind of like a sequel, but has a different name, so it's not really a sequel. So I'm just like going down the rabbit hole on this game because I'm interested. I start playing it myself, you know. I'm watching YouTube videos about it and the history, and it's nice to have an interest that's as mainstream as gaming is, because there's just so much information about it and there's so much community around it. Whereas type design, you know, like we have to get together in real life. It's such an obscure niche industry compared to some of these other things. So as soon as I get interested in something that I'm like, oh, like this is a more kind of normal one, I really go down the rabbit hole on it sometimes. So I get all into this, and in my research, we see a arcade machine that's set up to only play Galaga. And my wife's like, let's get it and set it up in the living room. And by that time, like the buttons were breaking on our tiny little toy machine and stuff. The kids are playing with it. And we actually went to a wedding and we took it into the hotel room with it. And we were getting a ton of use out of this thing. So I'm like, well, let's not get a Galaga only machine. That seems a little bit silly. Let me just do a little bit of research and see what would be a cool thing for like a wall mounted arcade. I wanted to be able to vacuum under it. I want it to be a little bit smaller, and I wanted it to have whatever game we wanted it to have. You know, I didn't want to be only Galaga. Now, looking back, I think it'd be kind of funny if we just committed all into Galaga and that was it. But
I was hoping that's where the story was going, but
so I stumble upon a couple of different people that are just doing these really incredible DIY arcade builds. One of them is this Swedish guy. I think his name is Love Holton. He has such a cool kind of approach to making these things look like sort of mid-century pieces of furniture instead of just what you think of when you think arcade machine. I think those big cabinets are cool and they can look great, but they're super bulky. They're probably not appropriate for the living room a lot of times. I'm just going to rip off this guy, Love Holton, as much as I can and kind of make some changes. And that's another thing I've kind of been opening myself up to more with fonts and everything that's related to my job. I have this real strict rule of like, you can pay homage to something, but you can't really just copy people. You can't really rip people off. But in your hobbies, it's like drawing in a sketchbook, you know, you can do whatever you want and you can learn from other people in that way and kind of trace their steps. So I was like, oh, just kind of, you know, take some of his ideas, which I think are really cool. And I'm probably not going to pay for a custom DIY build from him. And I'm just going to do my own kind of version of it. And I have like a CNC machine. So I was like, oh man, I got all the stuff to like do a kind of fun version of this. Started thinking about it, learned about the electronics that go into it. A lot of people run these systems on just like a Raspberry Pi, which is a tiny like $60 little computer. And then you get the USB controllers with the arcade style buttons and stuff. And it's like everything is there for you. There's so many people doing this that they're like little packages on Amazon that just have the controllers like set up, just ready to be built into whatever cabinet. I just had so much fun ordering parts, and it was pretty inexpensive.
I've told you this before, but especially in this new era where, you know, I'm doing this podcast, if I'm going to be talking about, you know, my childhood in gaming, there's so many doors in my brain that are just locked that I need to like reopen. And getting a Raspberry Pi retro console, I think I just need it for like research purposes to unlock those doors once again. I'm going to definitely need some details. The Raspberry Pi and like
I spent a lot of time on it, and it was exactly what you're describing. As soon as I started getting those games again and just going through the menus again, I was like, oh man, I forgot that this music sounded this way in the menus. Just like certain little interstitial parts of games was like, whoa, that kind of like took you back in a cool way. And the games themselves, I kind of got a whole new appreciation for as an adult. You know, you're not really thinking about the R&D budget on Super Mario World when you're 11 years old or whatever it is. That was so incredible. And they just like had all this pressure to make the most incredible game in the world. And then they did, you know, it's like, it's an amazing story. Yeah. I do recommend it. I think it's fun to do it with other people. That's the thing that retro games do not have built into them, which modern games do, is the kind of social aspect. So you actually have to have other people in the room and hang out doing it together. And it's fun to all try and beat the high score on whatever old school game you're playing. But yeah, and people go nuts with these things, man. And all the different shaders you can get, and you can make it look like it's on a CRT. And
that was my next question. So I'm guessing you are using a standard screen.
Yeah, there is a kind of like weird flatness when you're doing it on a flat screen. But yeah, I just went with the $90 BenQ, whatever cheap monitor I could grab, and just kind of did it that way. There's an infinite well of stuff to get lost in. I would be kind of curious to see how that comes out, or if you get so lost in the game that you kind of forget what screen you're looking at. You know, that's a kind of interesting thing about graphics. It's like the point of it is immersion in a way. You know, we had immersion in 1993 with the shittiest sound and like a kind of grainy picture and all this stuff. So I don't know. I think there's no wrong answer, but that's what's cool about seeing the online community come out. They explore everything, every single possibility. I really want to show you this thing that I made.
This is great. Let's go.
So this is just a sheet of orange Formica, kind of a cheap countertop material, stuck onto a piece of like furniture grade plywood that I was cutting out the screen hole. I was dropping the buttons in here just to see how they would look in the volume control knob, and gluing up the edges to kind of build out the frame for the front there. There's the side panel.
God damn it.
Oh, man.
So cool.
And then there's where I had the screen plugged in and just a temporary controller that I built just to see if the screen was going to show up in the right place. I wanted it to have like the CRT, like slightly rounded top and sides and stuff, but it is just a flat
Oh,
screen.
dude, the frame looks like a Love Holton original.
No, I copied him straight up. This was the fun stuff for me to figure out, though, is like, how do you kind of mount the screen in there? I just put some machine screws into the back of the screen and lined that up on a piece of wood, and then put in some washers.
I'm so glad people like you exist who consider that fun.
Oh yeah, no, that's a blast. It's great to figure out a way to solve the problem instead of like having one shot at getting it right. The kind
Man,
of
it's
control
beautiful.
It is
panel in.
beautiful. That is,
Thanks.
you're doing what we all dreamed of.
Clamping up both sides there, interior shot, putting the buttons in, and doing the small amount of wiring, and then me playing Galaga for the first time with like a almost finished version of it.
So good.
Yeah, it is good.
I'm fucking furious.
And then the last part was just this piece of cherry that kind of covers the front. I like sanded that down to match the curve of the side profile. That was kind of an interesting part from like a woodworking perspective, planing it down, sanding it down. I wanted it really smooth to the touch, feeling really good. So yeah, the inside got pretty messy, and then I spent a lot of time trying to do the cable organization and clean things up.
Super Mario World, baby.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss, man. Okay, so I am also so fascinated. If you can
I-
show Brandon your bar.
Yeah, no, I got some time. I got 5 minutes. I got 5 minutes.
The bar was and still is an ongoing kind of project that is just nothing but pure fun. So basically what happened there is another thing that kind of started or originated with my wife. At her aunt's house, they had this garage bar that they put in for her uncle, who was always smoking in the house. Basically, she was just trying to figure out a way for him to smoke in the garage instead of the house. And so they built a bar, they put it in their garage. This is like 1987 or so. Fast forward a couple of years, we have this kind of epic New Year's party. And we had a temporary bar set up, and everyone kept on saying like, oh, you got to make this a permanent bar. And so then we started the process of getting Sadie's aunt's old bar and
Insane. Man.
wood
I'm so
paneling
pissed.
from
What is this? What is this?
yeah, we took the chairs and the lamp from Sadie's aunt.
That's a business, a fully functional business.
This is what I want, dude. This is what I want.
I really recommend it to everyone. It's done amazing things for our neighborhood. Yeah, here's just a kind of pan around the side. We had the arcade in there for a little bit too, and then that went back into the living room.
Why?
Well, the reason, Ray, was because we started putting this booth in. And then as soon as the booth was in there, there was no more space for the arcade.
Oh, I see. I see.
So it's kind of like the set of a TV show. We have the left and the back wall on the right, but behind it is, if you look in the reflection of the mirror, it's just a straight up garage back there. I think ideally I would want to kind of put that fourth wall onto it, and then that would give us a little bit more real estate to play with some other things.
The lamp that's above the booth is so good.
Oh. So that
Shakey's. It's
what
a
I
Shakey's
want,
lamp. Man.
I want a Pizza Hut, and
Pizza
I want you
Hut.
to have the red Pizza Hut cups. Is what I want.
So that was one Facebook Marketplace. It was a listing for this diner table, and behind that was this booth. And so I saw the table, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm not really interested in the table, but is the booth for sale?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, and we got a ton of other things. Come by and check it out." So I went there, I got the booth, I ended up getting the table, I got this picture, I call her the sexy senorita, and then the lamp as well. And it was all like $150. I was just so stoked.
I'm gonna soft pitch to you what I would do in that little area that's a garage. To me, it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
so obvious, man, to put like a little mini corner shaky style like arcade area.
Yeah, dude.
I just
It's
like put
begging
3
for it.
machines, a
It's begging-
pinball machine maybe.
We need a pinball
So-
machine in there.
So we have a couple of ideas, and I was wondering kind of what's going to be the biggest hit with the crowd. And one of the ideas that I think would be cool is like a mini karaoke stage.
Yeah.
Because
That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
we
OMW,
end up
dude.
singing.
OMW.
We end up singing in here a lot. I have an actually pretty legit sound system. These are PA speakers. These are like 10-inch PA speakers, and there's one on the garage side
We
too.
hate you. We hate you.
And
Okay,
so
we don't know each other very well. Everything you're saying, I'm dying a little bit more inside. I'm shrimping.
Well-
dude. I'm curdling up.
well, Sadie was like, get the Sonos in there. I'm like, dude, we need something more powerful than the Sonos. I got on Marketplace again, found some used speakers. I had a mixer, like this is like a 12-channel mixer hiding over here on the bar. Yeah, just ran some speaker wire and plugged everything in. And now I have audio coming from a laptop or audio from the TV. And then I've been DJing in here. That's another hobby I've been getting into.
Brandon, the final takeaway for you and for our listeners is we gotta hit Facebook Marketplace a little
I
more.
guess so.
I've seen the bar, but I think the pictures you took really, really sell it. I had not seen them in those kinds of
Well,
photos.
you got to actually come by the bar, Ray, one day. If you find yourself in San Jose, stop on by. Come to the bar, come up. We'll play some Galaga. We'll sing some karaoke. I think it'll be a good time.
Getting ready to wrap things up. I'm going to go ahead and jump into our final segment. As promised, I am going to bring back the font stuff just for another moment. I'm just curious what your opinions are on some of gaming's most iconic
Oh,
fonts.
let's do it.
So I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to start with our first one here.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2. This font to me is emblematic of not just my childhood, but my life.
Okay, Street Fighter 2 logo. I say this is an iconic logo. They got the yellow to red gradient going down the top with the drop shade. I like to see stuff like this because it's nothing I would ever think to draw in a million years, but it's perfect for the franchise. The longevity of this logo kind of speaks volumes. But there's some really weird stuff in here too. Like,
Talk to me.
well, it's just like that top R, the leg of the R, the diagonal part is just like way thin compared to the vertical stem. These two T's that connect are really strange. The last
These
R in Fighter being really big. We have some kind of awkward negative space between the R and the Roman numeral 2. So I think what happened is they did Street Fighter and then they had to figure out how to put a Roman numeral 2 on it. And they're like, yeah, this is kind of
Yeah.
good enough. Probably someone else did it. Artwork probably more intended for the packaging more so than the screen. So they had to go through the kind of bummer process of fitting this really expressive artwork over some pixels, and you kind of get what you get. It's cool. I love it. It is iconic. But for me, I would put this in the 7 out of 10 range.
7 out of 10. All right, we're going to move on.
Doom, sick. Anything that follows the kind of Metallica style hierarchy or composition where you have that first letter hitting the bottom left corner and the last letter hitting the bottom right corner, that's going to work. We have something that's pretty lucky, but it's 9 out of 10 lucky. So what I mean there is you're going for complete symmetry in this logo, but you have a letter like M, which is quite a bit wider than all other letters. M and W, widest letters, and then things like D and O are kind of like normal width letters. So we have something that should be completely symmetrical, and it's not. It's actually a little bit, that you can see the middle between those O's is a little bit to the left. So I would give this one probably a 9 out of 10. I think it's sick. I think the dimension is awesome. They didn't just get quite lucky enough, or they could have done more things to make the M narrower on the sides. I would have probably tried to tuck it up and tried to squeeze it a little bit.
Okay.
There you go.
My thoughts exactly. All right.
Okay, so Minecraft obviously working with a similar dimensional effect here, but going...
Right.
I kind of do appreciate Minecraft aesthetics just for how counterculture they are, and basically like embracing the pixel when no one else really was in that way. So I think that's kind of cool. This genre of typographic treatments doesn't do a whole lot for me, but I think, if you watch the Minecraft movie, the artwork that went into that was terrific. I think they really did a good job on that movie visually. And then I can imagine someone who's not played the video game that goes to play the video game after seeing the movie being kind of disappointed, really, that not enough is happening there. And anyways, just looking at the logo itself, I don't know, Ray. The C is too wide. We have a big pocket of negative space between the C and the R that we could probably avoid there. We have this another kind of visual motif of the stone effect. And then we have the counter of the A with this kind of different idea. So it's kind of like maybe more ideas than you probably need in one logo. Iconic, yes, does the job. Okay. Guitar Hero is a mess. They're trying to do really riffing on like AC/DC, really. There are other bands that have kind of embraced the black letter. Some people call it old English. It's not probably the perfect term for it because it's not always English, but think of black letter like German beer logos and that sort of thing. So AC/DC did that on their logo, and then Guitar Hero seems to be playing off that. But what we have here is just a cacophony of different stroke widths, different pen angles, different things. They're all trying to getting it to lock in. Spacing is really weird. The R and the O is a little too loose. I think this is trash, Ray. This is a 2 out of 10 for me. It just looks like the typographic equivalent of saying that the New York hotel in Vegas is a spot-on recreation of New York. You know what I mean? I think they just they didn't quite do it in an authentic way.
I see.
Or I would have, worked with someone that was doing band logos. There's so many people that specialize in that and do it really well. So, but no, that's trash. Grand Theft Auto, I do like this logo. I don't love it. They're trying to do something that's kind of more based on like 70s typography in a way with a really huge X height. And they also have this unicase thing going on, when you're mixing in a capital R and a lowercase a, that sort of stuff. Lowercase t, capital F, and so on. Anytime we have things connecting between lines, like the way the R goes into this sort of ligature with the H on the next line,
right? That
to me just feels a little bit try hard. And in this version, we have grand and theft being further apart than theft and auto. They probably could have worked it out so that those all sat nicely. I think in other versions of this logo, they did kind of figure that out.
It's possible.
But in any case, this is something that's not my thing. I don't know. I give this a 6 out of 10. Super Mario World, 10 out of 10. Okay, so the reason I love this is not because it's like well drawn or drawn with a lot of nuance or anything like that. It's just because they have owned this style and they committed to it enough in all aspects of the game, the marketing, on screen. It's everywhere and it all really works. There's a contractor in my neighborhood that has this font on his contractor truck. He's got Princess Peach on the hood, and he's there's free versions of this and people can use them. So I do love this. It's just bonkers, fun, playful. It doesn't matter that it's got kind of wonky spacing or the M and the A are overlapping way more than any other pair. There's kind of things you could nitpick about it, but the multicolor thing, the drop shade is perfect. This was also still a 2D game, right? But it kind of played more with dimension and different lighting effects than previous versions. So
kind of tells you what you're getting into a little bit.
Yeah, totally. No, I love it.
I don't know if it's rose tinted goggles. Is there some of that? Because when I look at this, I'm like, it's perfect. It's beautiful. But I don't know if it's just because I love that game so much.
Well, like a lot of these are amazing games. Nothing can give you that feeling unless it gives you that feeling. There's a handful of other logos like that do it for me, like Fender guitars or Lego, the Lego logo. I just prefer those over, whatever Mega Bloks logos, trash, Gibson, Ibanez, like those logos are fine, but clearly Fender is the best one. I think people just have those relationships with typography, whether or not they kind of pay attention to it.
I have a few loaded up, but I also don't want to keep you, James.
I'll just go rapid fire for you.
Okay, rapid fire.
Pac-Man, sick. That's very of the era, and I love it. I would say 8 or 9 out of 10. Can't believe you loaded all this up for me, Ray. It's totally,
man,
totally fun.
I brought in a more modern game because That way there are no rose tinted.
Interesting. Balatro? I do not know what to make of this. I have no feelings about this. You know, the weird thing is, like, someone designed this now and they're working right now, so I don't want to say anything bad about it, but no, it's confusing to me, and it seems like they've not really picked a real lane here. Like, they might be juggling too many ideas. 2 out of 10. Oh, I'm sorry, Ray.
This is an older game.
Jet Set Radio. This is sick. This is really fun, exciting, kind of gives me like Powerpuff Girls kind of vibes, incorporating some mid-century sort of
This is actually
visuals.
the first video game, I believe, to incorporate cell shading. It's like a technique that makes 3D graphics look like a cartoon.
Oh.
So I think that's kind of pretty on the nose.
Interesting. All right. Very cool. Well, yeah, I dig it. Oh, the Capcom logo. This is using a typeface called ITC Corinna, which was really popular in the 70s and has a very distinctive C. So I actually really like the Capcom logo for that reason, because that typeface has a weird C and this logo has 2 of them. So yeah, that's a win. Castlevania. So yeah, this is the black letter that we were talking about previously. People have different opinions about this, whether or not text can fit into the negative space of a capital C or a capital L or something that just has a lot of negative space on the right side of it. So if you look at also like the Carnation logo and other things, people do it. Here, I guess it's supposed to look like an eclipse or a moon or that sort of thing. But to me, it's kind of a bummer because the capital C in black letter fonts is one of my favorite characters. So yeah,
I do want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about your like Instagram handles. I believe you've got something releasing soon that I'd love for you to promote as well.
Yeah, sure. On Instagram, we are OHNO Type Co. And in October, we have a book coming out that's just all about our process and kind of the history of our company. So yeah, if that's interesting to you and you need a coffee table book about fonts, look into that, and all the links for that are on our Instagram bio. Thank you so much for having me, Ray. It was fun to talk about fonts and also not fonts and video games. Encourage anyone to explore where their creativity takes them in any way.
Thank you, James. Yeah, it was awesome having you. I am so envious of your arcade and your bar, but also a little inspired, you know? I think I told you I'm getting a little home office situation, so I'm going to try to implement some of those ideas.
Good deal.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you at the next one. Where's the camera? All right. Goodbye, everybody. See ya. Hey, everybody. It's Ray here. Just wanted to thank you for tuning into the Dire Pass Level podcast. If you want to hang out and join us for the next episode, make sure to like and subscribe. That way you're notified when our next episode releases. If you really, really, really liked it, you'd do us a solid if you left us a review. Reviews are a great way to spread the word about our podcast, and the more gamers to share these stories with, the better. All right, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. There we go.